we are back. Oh, it's good to be back. Season 3, court in session. Right now, in court is Keelan Phillips. Also in the court is the Better Scout, Alan Pinder. This season 3 of court in session, it promises to be one of those, every time we come in the session, anytime we get a court it's always going to be special. So anyway, we are headed down the road now. First, we want to look at the East. The NBA is starting on next week, Tuesday, which is on the 18th, right? And we will have, it's good to be back. It's good to have basketball back. So now, first thing we will do is go to Avenger number 1. That is Keelan Phillips. And he will speak on the West. How's the West there, Keelan?
Yeah, I'm glad that you have now admitted that I am the Avenger number 1. Everything is back in order because there were 2 last. But,
promotion over summer.
Promotion as in my regular spot. I agree. So, I have a couple of tiers here, a little preview for the West. First tier that I'm gonna name, or I have the name, is the Victor Sweepstakes. No, if there was ever a year that you should thank, it is this year because that boy Victor, he looked special. He looks really special. There's always gonna be concerns about his weight and his frame compared to his height, because men with that height have a history of leg injuries and don't really last that long. But in terms of skill, he is something else. He looks like KD mixed with Rudy Gobert, if there was ever such a thing. So those, those the Spurs, the Jazz, the Thunder, they tanking. We know they're tanking. They ain't that about it. They're tanking. The next tier that I have Bayer to be meh. I think in these 2 tiers I have the Rockets and the Trailblazers. Now, the Rockets, I think, are slightly better than the Spurs, Jazz, and the Thunder. Yes, they still are going to finish in the lower tier, but I still think that they are slightly further along in terms of having pieces like Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., I know Jabari Smith. So I think that they may be a little further along in terms of their rebuild. They can still get the top spot, but in terms of, I think they're slightly ahead of those. The Trailblazers are one of the teams that they could also fit in another tier, which I call play in or higher. I think that they are, because the West is so deep, they're kind of on the outside looking in. Their team is a lot of young pieces, and like Dame and like Jeremy Grant. So it's a weird mismatch of kind of older guys, but yet still younger guys, just trying to put things around them. But I don't think it's really gonna work. Everybody's favorite tier. This is everybody's favorite tier. One team is in this tier, and it's called Kings. Now we all know this is just the Kings. Every year, we make fun out there. It's just the Kings. The Kings could always fight for a playing spot. They never get there. They're never bad enough to be the number 1 a draft pick. They are just the Kings, and we will laugh at them forever. They played our higher tier. And I said the Trailblazers could fit in this, but because the Lakers, for me, have so many questions in terms of injury, age, roster construction, fit. And with how deep the West is and how all the other teams seem to already have a plan in terms of the playoff team, it's tough to really see them as a for sure playoff team. I know some people think that it may work or whatever, but what are the chances that Westbrook in year he get drafted in year 14, 15, all of a sudden turned into a 3-point shooter who plays off the ball and cuts and doesn't turn over the ball and plays all on defense? No, I just don't see it. AD, all of a sudden, is AD going to play 82 games? No, I don't know. Sorry, Lakers, and maybe not. Middle tier? No. it really speaks to the West that I think I have the Mavs and the Suns in the middle tier. No, the Mavs just came off of conference finals um, showing, right? But the West is so deep. They lost Jalen Brunson. They got Christian Wood, but I don't know if they're gonna use him as a 6 man, whatever. And they have Spencer Dinwiddie coming off. No, he's gonna be starting, I think. And Tim Hardaway Jr. He is coming back. The Suns, yeah, they re-signed him, but there's a lot of uncertainty within that organization about stuff and the server incident and all that. It's just a question mark. And then how they fame out in the playoffs, the roster didn't really improve, and how much better can they be after being the top seed and still going around. So I have some question about the Suns. Dark horses, I got the Nuggets and the Grizzlies. Now the Nuggets have a very good, in my opinion, blend of offense and defense, at least in the starting lineup. They have KCP and Aaron Gordon, who are good defenders, and they have Marie, and PJ and Jokic, who are just offensive, like demons. So if they are clicking, I think that they could be really well. I think they have like Jeff Green and A. Smith and who's the other guy now? Warmer piece, Bones Highlands off the bench. So they have some interesting, things that they can really sneak out on some people. The Grizzlies as well. I think after the second round, they kind of know what they have to do. I still maybe think that they're one piece from actually getting there, but I think that they learned from last year what they could improve on. This tier is not necessarily like in order, but I named this tier could be fun. And that's the Pelicans and the Timberwolves. Now, it's interesting to see how 2 7-footers in 2022 are going to play, being very slow-footed and stuff at times. But, it could be interesting. They could either be really good or this could all fail and everybody looks at the Wolves like, y'all are ridiculous for getting Rudy Gobert. Could be fun. The Pelicans are coming back. That, dunks young Ross, so that could be fun. And the contenders, Warriors and the Clippers. Warriors for obvious reasons, even though Draymond is trying his hardest to be a LeBron James' best friend and go LA. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. And Clippers, they have the deepest team in the NBA. Injuries is always a concern, but that depth can at least help them through the season, in my opinion. And they get back the Kawhi and Paul George. If those two were anywhere close to being what they were, I think that Clippers team could be very dangerous. Those are my tiers. My favorite tier is still the Kings.
Yeah, well, I am just a little disappointed that you don't have the Kings a little higher.
But what?
I will go now. And in the East, we know there are certain teams who are tanking. We know that there's a team called Indiana, and actually they have a Chinese tank. Right. You tank for a few years, you tank for a few months, and then you just throw away the tank. All right. So right now they're using a Chinese tank. So we know that they're tanking. They want to get on that bandwagon for Victor. So we'll see how that one goes. Since to me, they have a lot of good young pieces, but I still feel they will be knocking at the bottom based on how the East is set up. Because to me, I think the East is fairly strange. I usually used to think that the West was always better, but I'm really sure if the West is that much better. That's the truth. Yeah. We have some teams like the Cavaliers. So we are not Cavaliers add some people. They look better. I think injuries had them in the second half of last season.
Yeah.
But I think that they will be knocking around. Then you got teams like the Raptors, right? The Raptors who always look like if they will lose and end up winning. Or again, you always think they're going to be somewhere outside the playoffs and again in the playoffs. Well, the Magic they're really only good for Disney. So we really will watch them.
Disney.
Yeah.
At the bubble. At the bubble.
Right, at the bubble. Yeah.
I think Magic are Kings East.
Yeah,
Kings of the East. Some teams that are quite interesting. Now, New York, I don't think New York is a real interesting thing. I think New York is a unicorn. Me reason being, New York always does strange things. I
Very
cannot understand why they were so adamant on getting Brunson. He was decent, but I don't see him taking you over the top. Actually, I think New York are into left-handers because apparently, as your left-hander, New York probably will pick you. Then we have the top guys. We have a number of top guys. So you have teams like Bulls. Yeah, that process, I'm not sure if I trust in that yet, but it's been a number of years and I have not seen, get to the conference final and get to a final. So we'll see how the process goes this year. Miami is a team. Miami gives you what Miami gives you. They fight hard. They are, they play above their skill level. They got a certain amount of grit and grind. So he's expecting that Miami will be knocking around like the Final Four or so. But I don't think Miami can convince anybody that they will go all the way or even get to the conference finals. Then you have teams like Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn, we can call it the Lakers of the East. Brooklyn really, they're finding to deceive. In the middle of the one man, Kyrie opted in, and then KD wanted to opt out, and then they couldn't find. They really weren't planning to trade KD, but they made the NBA free agency to ransom for a couple months or for about 6 weeks, and then to declare that he will stay. And I really don't know how that will work out, but we will see. I really feel that if they have everything on the same, if everybody get on the same page, they can be dangerous. But Brooklyn, to me right now, I see Brooklyn flattering to deceive once again.
Same.
Well, Ben Simmons is healthy. So
yes.
Once again, flattering to deceive. I gotta see it first.
Boston, Boston's a very interesting team. I think Boston, I'm not even sure if Boston will get back to the conference final. But they may. They added Gallinari, and then he destroyed his ACL, and then they add Blake Griffin. So I expect that they will be there and thereabouts.
The only question for them is coaching, because Udoka's now out for the entire year. So how much of an impact will the new coach, interim coach, or whatever, can he have on those guys? I don't know. That whole situation is just
yeah, that is another thing in the NBA that this offseason, I think they wanted to keep the NBA in the news. So, they do some weird things so they can keep the NBA in news. But you're right. The coaching situation there will determine how they will do.
That's another first year course, so actually. So
yeah, so we'll see how that works. So I would not bet against Milwaukee, but
I think they're the favorites.
I would think that they would start as zone favorites to be the team to come out the East. And they see it as the East, really. The only other team was the Charlotte Hornets, and the Hornets, I'm not sure they're thinking of Michael Jordan, but you'll see how that one goes.
Michael Jordan, in my opinion, is the greatest basketball player ever. You could say Bron. That's cool. That's not a debate. He's either one or two from 99% of people. He might be one of the worst owners, if not the worst owners ever. How are you this great at one spectrum and then this bad at the other spectrum? He just made some decisions. And then LaMelo Ball hurt his ankle grade 2 sprint or something in preseason. So he might be out to start the season. So Lord knows how they can go.
Right. If you got lanes like Sovereign North Morning Place, you'll be a little cut above the worst. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the East. I really think the East is better than the West as it relates to competition. I think that obviously health would play a major role in who wins and who gets, but they always do, who gets to the conference final. But I think our zone favorite for me will be Milwaukee, and we will see how if they get to the East.
I think that you might be underselling the Cavs a little bit. As you said, they were really good last year until they got those serious injuries. And they plugged Donovan Mitchell into that team, and he's exactly what they needed at that shooting guard spot. I think I think they have a chance to be one of the contenders in the East. But I mean, they have a good mix of offense and defense. So I think maybe their depth may not be as great, but
At least
I think they have a chance to be one of the top 4 teams in the East for sure.
Well, I wouldn't argue if they go in the top 4, but they will be in the top 6 for sure. I feel that they impressed me last season, and they impressed me with not only with their play but with their length, and they were able to switch on most things. They were very good defensively. I saw they play against the Warriors, and the Warriors had fits trying to get away from it, but eventually, Steph was Steph, and Steph ain't Stephen, and that was the end of that. So, but they are a fairly decent team, and I really feel there could be a dark horse in this whole thing. But health obviously will be the major part in their their home makeup.
Oh yes.
Well, that's the East. Before we get to our resident Beijing scout Alan Pinder for his fantasy picks, I would like to throw a question. This Sarver situation, the Sarver situation in Phoenix, how you feel that situation will affect the Phoenix Suns?
It's interesting. I don't want to say good thing, but Chris Paul, funny enough, I was made 2 years before this, almost the exact same situation. I don't know, that's actually pretty crazy that he has literally gone through something like this already at the Clippers with Donald Sterling. Yeah. So the fact that he has to go through this again is pretty crazy. But I guess I don't want to say no weird, but he would know how to get through this. I know it's weird, but he kind of understands what happened before and how to kind of maybe bring the guys together. But I don't know, that's a weird situation. That's a very interesting situation. I honestly don't know how the team is going to react or on going forward. I know that I think the last time that happened at the Clippers, I think the Clippers still did well and were winning the playoffs. The only problem is that they got, I think, injuries again, which is always their problem. But I think, I don't know, I really can't say for sure how it is going to affect them. The more interesting point I can make after Alan goes is how the NBA handled it and had to deal with it, because I have a pretty interesting take on that. But Alan, you can go ahead and give your thoughts first.
Yeah, I think it might affect them a bit more. I think this added on to how badly things ended last season. Add that to they almost feel like they were ambushed into having to pay DeAndre Ayton the money that they did. I think it might be a problem. It has a bit of uncertainty under the entire organization since ownership is going to change. So, I mean, you have a very good GM in James Jones, but again, he doesn't have 100% certainty he's going to be there after that. And if you don't know if your GM is going to be there, that could affect free agents, that could affect the rest of the team as well. So I think it's just a low level of uncertainty that I think could be a bit of a problem. And I think it's probably touching a little bit on what you were looking to speak on earlier. I think it worked out pretty well for the NBA in terms of how they handled it. I think they would have preferred to have made him sell, but I don't think they wanted that precedent in there. That bad behavior means that owner has to sell, because and if the owners have to govern themselves, I don't think they want to have to set that own precedent for themselves. But I think the fact that corporate pressure forced them to sell, I think that is something that's preferable to them in this situation, rather than them setting that precedent themselves.
Yeah, it worked out perfect for them in a way that he kind of sold it on his own as opposed to them forcing, because that could open a whole new can of worms where it could be like, oh well, he had to sell it because thing, but I know this owner that does this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh Lord, Adam Silver just got a bunch of different things just coming out of nowhere. So it actually worked out perfect that he didn't have to deal with that and say you got sell. That could have been dangerous.
Yeah, okay, and I agree with both your points. I'm not really sure how it will affect Phoenix, but it wasn't a good look when they lost. I think it was an Australian team or something.
The 36ers.
Sixers.
Right, and,
The
right.
49ers,
I mean, like there were
the
40 less than 76ers. I mean, like, and they just get, and I mean, it wasn't even close. Well, yeah, it ended up being close, but I mean, they got totally outplayed. But it's preseason, and really and truly, they're not going to play the 36ers ever again. So unless they move to Australia, so we don't have to worry about the 36ers. But it wasn't a good look.
Yeah, the competition may get a little tougher after that, though. So.
Yes, so I would, I would say we'll wait and see. The first half of the season will determine how they do. We can, have them under the radar, so we can see exactly how they operate, and then we'll have a better idea of how this Sarver situation helps or didn't help the Suns. But the big thing, well, there were two big things. The first big thing was Udoka and his Udokanism, but we will leave that one because this is a general audience show, and we don't want to get into any X-rated stuff. So, but the main thing this week was Draymond Green and his propensity to want to be in the either WWE or Boxamania or something. He actually gave Jordan Poole a right hand, which landed somewhere on his face. And well, of course, the video made it even worse when you saw it actually. Because Poole was standing and he was away from Poole, and then I don't know what they were saying because they didn't really have any audio. But then he came to Poole pushed him away, and then that right cross came. What are your thoughts? Will this be a for the Warriors? I know up to when we were ready for the show, Kerr has been saying how he'll be fine. He will be fine. He will play on the last preseason game, and he will play the opening season. How do you think, though, this relationship and this real whole thing will help or hurt the Warriors?
Before we get into serious talk, let me make a little. First off, El said we don't want to get into X-rated, so instead we'll get into violence and MMA. Guys fighting people. But and okay, we all know how Draymond is, and I'm not excusing his behavior in the slightest, because all that was a good swing. Also, Jordan Poole, like, he doesn't get any, because once Jordan Poole pushed Draymond, and then it's like he didn't expect Draymond to do anything else. Like, oh, he can do it. Jordan Poole, like, he pushed him and wasn't ready for no retaliation. It was like wax. So, Jordan Poole, hopefully you learn next time to, if you put somebody on your space, which you are entitled to, just be ready that something might happen. But all those aside, I don't know how much it may affect them, because the media too likes to blow things out of whack, because the media is saying that it can't ever be forgiven, that this can probably mess up with everything. And I can't say that for sure, because I don't know the dynamic and the relationship that Draymond and Jordan Poole have. I don't know if it's possible that Jordan Poole may actually forgive Draymond. I mean, it's weird to think that a man cuffing your face and you can forgive him, but it's very possible that they could have said so, and it does not impact them as much as people make it out to actually be. On the flip side, it can be really bad, and all of a sudden the chemistry is thing, and then people don't trust Draymond, and then Draymond, as one of the leaders, he just lost credibility by punching a young player. The whole thing about contracts, it could get messy, but it's also a situation where I don't think it could be as bad as people making it out to actually be.
Okay. What about you, Alan?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad for them. I think they know the type of character Draymond is. I don't think this is first time he's done something. He hasn't punched anyone before, but I think there's been I think there's been bad behavior from him perhaps before. I don't think that's anything.
I would be
that
shocked if there wasn't.
Yeah, so I think that as a team would be fine. If it was Superman punch on Steph, I think things might be a little bit different.
Oh no, if it was on Steph, he was LA immediately. He was in China or something. Ain't no question.
Yeah, but I think the team will be fine going forward. I think this will more so affect his contract status. I think there was an outside chance he could get maybe a sweetheart contract coming into next year when the contract expires, But I think this might lower the chances of that significantly. I think he's gonna get a contract at his value, and I think he's gonna have to stay. He's gonna have to say that if he wants to stay the Warriors going forward, or if he's gonna have to try and get it elsewhere in the market. I don't think that's gonna be possible either.
LA wants us. LA.
Well, everybody is, everybody have their say on where he really plans to go or wants to go. But I'm always very cautious. A player in one team sometimes don't translate to that same sort of quality in another team.
Agreed.
And I'm not sure if he goes to LA, how that would translate, especially with so many people down there wanting the ball in their hands. Now, Steph don't have no problem with letting him bring down the ball and he's going to come up, it's 6 picks. No, and Clay don't have that problem either. Jordan Poole don't have that problem either. But the problem that he will have down there, well, obviously if they still got Russell, he will have a major problem. And LeBron likes to hold the ball as well. So I am not sure if he will translate as well as he does with Warriors, but all this speculation, the Warriors might.
I'm not saying that he will fit well at LA. I'm saying that's where he wants to go. I think that's a horrible thing.
Okay. Well,
That's right. I don't think the issue is really the ball handling. I think the issue is lack of shooting. Draymond's a terrible shooter at this stage. Correct. So when you're surrounded by Poole, Thompson, and Curry, you can hide him a little bit where that's concerned. Yeah. But LA doesn't have that level of shooting. It wouldn't work. Yeah, unless that team has a bit of a makeover.
Yeah. Well, as I was going to tell Keelan, I would like to be in Hawaii drinking drinks out of a coconut with umbrella in it, right? But that's not going to happen either. So I don't see. I really can't see Draymond being in LA, to be honest.
There is a potential trade on the table where LA could acquire one of the, I think he was probably second in the NBA in 3-point shots last year, and another guy who at center is one of the better 3-point shooters in the NBA as well. So there's some shooting there. There's some potential with some moves, but I mean, we will see what happens.
I know you want that to happen really badly, so you will end up in the Victor Sweet States. But we will see what happens.
I think we're in the Sweet States regardless, really. So,
Alan, you're not drafting, I don't know, Bron James Jr. in 2029 or 2027. Start trying to get LA first round pick. Those years. All right, stop trying, Alan. All right.
He's not first round pick though, but spoiler alert.
I can't see him being in first round. To me, he's not that really that great. Anyway, but that's only my opinion. And in this sport, the only body opinions that really matter is the three of us. So really and truly.
There you go.
Right. So really and truly, we don't really worry about that. But since we're here now, we're speaking to the Beijing Scout. What do you have for us in fantasy, Mr. Alan Pinder?
Hey, give me some good fantasy picks, man.
Yeah, well, you know who the stars of fantasy typically are, but I'm going to say we can use some value picks.
Oh,
Some picks
yes.
that when you made them in the fantasy draft, you may get a raised eyebrow, but in a month or two, you'll be vindicated and people understand that, yeah, you know what's going on. So at point guard, since we're on the page, it's Terry Halliburton.
Oh
I think,
yes.
I think
Oh.
everyone, especially he would definitely step up pretty well next year. Kings kind of miscast him a little bit since they had someone to the point guard spot, but he showed a lot last year after the trade. I think he's in lane for a big season. Someone that Terry mentioned earlier, Jalen Brunson. He had to share a lot of responsibilities with Luka Doncic. I think what the Knicks saw was that if he is going to be the primary ball handler, he has a lot of scope to probably have a lot more games similar to how he performed in the playoffs when Luka was out. I think they expect that player full time. So I think he has a chance to actually break a little bit as well. But still at point guard, Kate Cunningham, young guy, played pretty well last year. He's a little bit overshadowed by the other guys in his class, but I think he could be in lane for a big season this year. And then 2 Australians, Josh Giddey, another young guy who I think has a chance to step up
Yeah,
and
he did
And
play really
some
well
big
last
things.
year.
Honestly,
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah. And the other forgotten Australian Ben Simmons. Terrible shooter, but gives you a lot of corner stats in all the other departments. Let's not forget about him. He wasn't there last year, but seeing himself this year, yeah, don't forget about him.
Yeah, well,
Shooting.
we don't want to talk about the meme that we saw. Well, go ahead.
Shooting guard, Colin Sexton should be the guy in Utah. I think he should get some good stats over there. Scary Terry in Charlotte, especially with ball being out early. He's a bit under. He's a bit. He's a bit underrated. I think he should do well, particularly with Miles Bridges being out as well. There's going to be a bit more for him to eat. Anthony Simons did really well with Dame out last year. Dame is going to be back, but I think he can fit in well to that role next to Dame in doing a lot what CJ did. I think he's going to do pretty well. And Jordan Clarkson until he gets traded. There's going to be a lot for him, so he's a little lower down. At small forward, honestly, I don't think there's a ton of value here. I think you should probably stick to the main horses here, like DeRozan, LeBron, Durant, Tatum, Ingram. Stick to those guys. I don't think there's a lot of value here at a small forward position. Guys who are strictly small forwards. 2 people you could potentially look at. The guy who has Jay Crowder very upset right now, Cam Johnson. I think him moving into that starting lineup role. The coach thinks that he has a lot more to bring than just being a 3D player. I guess we will find out. Michael Porter Jr. was extremely good before he got hurt.
Yeah.
But we're just not sure how good he's going to recover from that back injury. But if he does happen to recover, keep an eye on him. He might be worth picking up. Paul Ford, a lot of value here. Sorry?
Wait, a quick question. Okay, I don't know how they can use him. If they use him small part of Porter yet. But what do you think about Keldon Johnson? Not just just for his leg, but because like he can be kind of like the main guy on a lottery team. Like somebody got to score the ball. So I guess it might be him. You never know.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. He's actually a good guy you can look at as well. So yeah. He's definitely a good spot at that small forward position.
Woo, 1 point for me.
Yeah, good point there. Forward, we have the blue chip rookies from last year, Scotty Barnes and Evan Mobley. I think they should definitely improve, do much better coming up. PJ Washington with the Hornets, with Miles Bridges being out with his legal issues. I think he has the opportunity to increase his value there. Larry Martin, again, another Jazz player. A lot more opportunity there. We might see more of the Larry that we saw with the Chicago Bulls. I don't think he was really a good fit at small forward with the Cavs. So we'll see what happens there. And another Castle player from the Suns, Jalen Smith, was anointed the starting power forward with the Indiana Pacers. He showed good 3-point shooting for the stretch after the trade last year. He does very good on the board. If he gets minutes, he has a good shot. And at center, I think this is similar to small forward. There's not a ton of value here. It gets to stick to the big boys like Jokic, Embiid, Towns. But James Wiseman might have an outside shot. He did pretty well in summer league and was looking good in preseason. I don't think Steve Kerr trusts him, but injuries might force him into a larger role, and he may pick up and start to do really well. I think kind of similar to the whole. I think similar to the whole Draymond Green had got forced into that spot after I think it was David Lee got hurt.
Right.
That might be something similar. That may be a similar path for Wilson potentially, so we can keep an eye on him. And potentially Miles Turner going into the contract year, he finally gets what he wants to be the main center with Indiana. I'm not sold that he's necessarily that type of a player, but he will point to his 40-point game last year and say that, hey, if he has you for opportunity with the right team, he can produce at a high level. But he may be playing with a different cast of characters as the season goes on. So you keep an eye on that, similar to Jordan Carson.
Okay. So that is Major Scout Alan Pinder. And if you are into fantasy, you need to check Court in Session because he's the man if you want to know about the fantasy. Now, as it is a new season, we'll go back to our old things, which is Pick 5. And today, the winner of last Pick 5 was Avenger number 1. Since that, and we are only calling it Avenger number 1 because really you're the only Avenger on the card.
Hey, don't diminish my value. Don't diminish my value.
Okay.
Don't diminish my value.
Irrespective of which Avenger you were the winner of the Pick 5, and this season we will see how it goes. So, in the Pick 5, on Tuesday night, opening night, we look at Philadelphia at Boston. Philadelphia at Boston.
I'm going with Philly.
I'm going with Celtics.
Pinder going with Philly.
Yeah.
And Keelan going with Celtics. I think I'm going with the Celtics too. So I'll take the Celtics. On Wednesday, New Orleans at Brooklyn. Interesting.
No, Brooklyn's healthier than so good.
You will stick with Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Avenger number 1?
That's a good one. Man, I have Pelicans in my should be fun category. So I can pick the Pelicans.
Okay, so I just so that you're clear. Fun is not fun is not the main point of this, right? You're gonna pick the winner. But I will go with Brooklyn. I'm only going with Brooklyn because I don't think New Orleans could beat Brooklyn in Brooklyn, to be honest with you.
You never know.
Then on Thursday, the Battle of LA. LA Clippers versus LA Lakers.
Clippers. Don't waste my time.
So everybody got any Clippers?
Is the LA home game or so sorry? Is the Clippers home game or Lakers?
It's the LA home game.
Which LA?
It's the LA Lakers home game. I say LA. It can't be Clippers, dude.
I mean, they are the LA Clippers technically.
That's the only thing they come with LA.
I'll go with Clippers. I don't think we should be. I don't think we should imagine and beat one. So.
I will go with Lakers, and I only go with Lakers because I'm a Laker.
I can be a no. If you like,
so what guy make a pick for fun? The other guy make a pick for pressure, pain, agony. Okay.
On Friday, if that's not remark, on Friday, Memphis at Houston.
Grizzlies. I'm gonna go Grizzlies.
Memphis.
So everybody going with Grizzlies?
Yeah.
All right.
I thought you were going to Houston since you were saying that you thought Houston might be a little friskier than the average bear.
No, I don't think I will go. I will go with Houston if it was preseason. But preseason will be over. It will be no season. And there is no way that we can have a pick 5 in week 1 of Court in Session, our first episode, and do not have a pick 5 for the Sacramento Kings. And first is at the Kings. And I am on a limb and saying I will pick the Clippers.
The Clippers at you have me with the Clippers at Kings? Are we really? Come on.
So,
Hey,
anybody
it's the
going for Kings?
Anybody going for the Clippers? Yeah, give me Clippers.
I'm going with the Kings.
You go with the Kings? I can be honest with you. I
I'll go
would
with the
love
Kings.
to go with the Kings, but the Kings are the Kings. I mean, they like.
Alan,
the
come
Kings
on.
are just-
I think the Kings might be turning the corner. You'll see. I think the Kings might be turning the corner.
Yeah,
once
turn
that corner,
the corner
once that
and then
corner
turn
is
it back
not like-
around.
I think we're going.
Yeah,
I think we're going from the Kings to the Kings. So
Oh.
you'll see.
All right, so I will go with the Clippers. So myself and Keelan with the Clippers, and you will go with the Kings. If you ain't with the Clippers, I would have gone with the Kings because somebody have to represent the Kings. I mean,
Yes, and it will not be me. So two of you all decide.
anyway, that is our first episode of Court in Session, and right now, court is adjourned.
Good morning.